Chapter 1. The Adventure.
My name is Alan Quatermain. I am 55 years of age. I live in Durban, Natal, South Africa. I am now a rich man. I have not always been rich. It is only for the past 9 months that I have had a lot of money. I have to say, the money is not worth the risks I have taken to get it. I am not a writer. I am, I suppose, an adventurer. But now I am tired of adventures. My last adventure was too violent for me. I do not want to have such an adventure again. I am writing this book for 4 reasons. First, Sir Henry Curtis and Captain John Good asked me to. Second, I cannot leave my bed due to an injury to my leg. Third, I want to give my son, who is studying to be a doctor, something interesting to read. Fourth, it is the strangest tale a man could ever write about. It has been about 18 months since I first met Sir Henry Curtis and Captain John Good. I was on board the Dunkeld on my way home to Natal after a month of elephant hunting. I did not know either gentleman, but they interested me. One of them, whom I later learned was Sir Henry, was about 30 years of age. He was tall, with yellow hair and a yellow beard. He looked as if he had Danish blood in him, and reminded me of someone I knew. But at the time I could not remember who. The other man was shorter and fatter. He did not have a beard and wore an eyeglass in his right eye. He looked a few years younger than Sir Henry. I thought at the time he was a sea captain, and I was right. I later learned that he was an ex-naval officer. He was Captain John Good. Soon after we left the harbor, the bell rang for dinner. I went to the dining room. I sat opposite Captain Good and Sir Henry. We started talking, and it was not long before the subject of our conversation turned to elephants.
I've heard that the man who knows everything about elephants is a fellow called Quatermain,
Sir Henry said. Then he turned to me and asked,
"Excuse me, you wouldn't happen to be Alan Quatermain, would you?"
I said that I was. At the end of dinner, Sir Henry asked me to go to his cabin and have a whiskey with him. As soon as my glass was full, he said,
"Mr. Quatermain, I believe that at about this time last year, you were at a place called Bamangwato."
"That is so," I said.
"Were you trading there?"
he asked. "I was," I agreed.
"Did you meet a man called Neville?"
he asked me next.
"George Neville."
"I did," I replied, and later I received a letter from a lawyer who wanted to know where Neville was. I told him what I knew.
"Your letter was sent to me,"
Sir Henry said.
"In your letter, you said that Neville left Bamangwato in May. He planned to go to Inayati at the far end of the Matabele country."
"That is true," I said. "He left Bamangwato with a cart and a native hunter. I saw that same cart 6 months later. A Portuguese trader told me he bought it from Neville."
"Do you know why Neville wanted to go to Inyati?"
Sir Henry wanted to know. I said nothing, although I had a good idea why. Sir Henry and Captain Good looked at one another, and then Sir Henry said,
"Mr. Quatermain, I am going to tell you a story. Perhaps you will then be willing to help me. You have a good reputation as an honest man." Chapter 2. Solomon's Diamond Mines.
Sir Henry drank a little of his whiskey, then said,
"Mr. George Neville is my brother."
Now I remembered who Sir Henry reminded me of.
"About 5 years ago,"
Sir Henry continued,
"my brother and I quarreled. Soon after this, our father died. I am the elder son, and I inherited everything.
I behaved badly toward my brother.
I refused to give him any of my inheritance. I supposed I wanted my brother to apologize to me. He didn't, and so I gave him nothing. With the little money he had, he left England to make his own fortune in South Africa. About 3 years passed. I wrote to him several times, but I received no replies. Perhaps he never got my letters. I don't know. But as time passed, I worried more and more about him. I asked my lawyer to find out as much as he could about him.
"Which is why your lawyer wrote to me," I said.
Yes.
For a few moments Sir Henry was silent. Then he said,
Mr. Quatermain, will you please tell me everything you know about my brother, Neville?
"Very well," I said, "but you will be the first person to whom I have told what I know." I drank a little of my whiskey and then said, "Your brother wanted to find King Solomon's mines. That is why he set out for Inyati." Both men looked surprised.
King Solomon's mines?
Sir Henry exclaimed.
I have never heard of them. Where are they?
"You have to cross 130 miles of desert to reach them," I said. "Then you have to cross some mountains. I do not believe any white man has ever reached them. There is a legend about them. I will tell you what I know if you promise to keep it secret. I have my reasons for asking this."
You have our promise,
Sir Henry said. "An elephant hunter called Evans told me the legend," I said. "I found a ruined city northwest of the Solomon Mountains," he told me. "Solomon is another spelling of Solomon. It was there that Solomon had his diamond mines." "How do you know that?" I asked him. "An old witch doctor told me," he said. "He called them bright stones." I thought no more about this, and Evans died a few months later. Then one evening, a Portuguese man, José Silvestre, came to my camp and asked to stay the night. I was ill with a fever, but we had a meal together. The next day he said, "When we meet again, I shall be the richest man in the world." I didn't believe him, of course, but I said nothing. A week or more passed. My fever left me, and I was eating a good dinner when a man came out of the jungle. "José Silvestre," Captain Good said. Yes, but he looked nothing like the man I knew. This man was just a skeleton. "Water, water," he cried, and fell to the ground. I took him into my tent, and he slept. The next morning, when I awoke, he was standing staring at the mountains. "There it is," he cried, "but I shall never get there. No one will ever get there." Then he turned to me and said, "Why is it still dark? Why can I not see clearly?" "Lie down and rest," I said. "I am blind and dying," he said. "Perhaps you will be able to do what I could not." He felt in his shirt and took out a piece of paper. He handed it to me. "This map has been in my family for hundreds of years," he said. "It will make you the richest man in the world." Then he fell to the ground and died. The only person I have shown this map to is my wife. She is dead. I took the map out of my pocket where I kept it at all times and handed it to Sir Henry.
It's not much of a map,
he said. Captain Good looked at it. "I agree. It tells us very little, but there is something written here in Portuguese." Sir Henry, who knew Portuguese, read the writing.
I am José de Silvestre. I am in a cave on the north side of the mountain. I am dying of hunger. I write this with my bone and blood. With my own eyes I have seen the countless diamonds stored in Solomon's treasure chamber behind the White Death. No white man has ever made it there and back. If you do find it, you will be a rich man. If my slave finds me, he will give this map to my family. Pray for me.
I took back the map and put it in my pocket.
It is an extraordinary story,
Sir Henry said. Yes, I said, but I have not invented it. I stood up to leave the cabin. I was angry with them. I thought they were doubting my story.
Chapter 3. The Offer. Forgive me for doubting you,
Sir Henry said.
But what does the map have to do with my brother?
I have already told you, I said. He wanted to find King Solomon's mines and set out for Inyati for that reason. I spoke to his servant, a Bechuana, we called Jim. "Where are you and your master going?" I asked him. "To Solomon country," he replied, "to find the diamonds." "You'll die," I told him. "No one has ever come back from there alive." "I can't stop him from going," Jim said. I thought for a moment, then found a piece of paper and wrote on it, "Let him who comes climb the snow of Sheba's left breast, till he comes to the nipple on the north side. There he will find Solomon's great road." In a few days' time, I said to Jim, "Give him this piece of paper. Don't give it to him now. I don't want him to ask me questions I don't want to answer." Jim took the piece of paper, and that is all I can tell you about your brother. Sir Henry said,
Mr. Quatermain, I'm going to look for my brother. Will you help me?
"No, Sir Henry," I said. "It will be too dangerous a journey. I have a son to take care of."
I will pay you whatever you ask, if you will come with me.
Sir Henry said,
I am a rich man. I can make you one too.
"I will think about it," I said. "I'll give you my answer as soon as I am ready to." That night I had a dream about poor Jose Silvestri and diamonds. In the morning, I waited until we were near land before giving Sir Henry my answer. "I will go with you," I said, "but you must agree to my conditions." "What are they?" Captain Good asked. "First," I said, "you will pay all my expenses. Second, we shall divide equally among us any ivory or other valuable items we find. Third, you will pay me £500 in advance for my services. Fourth, if I am killed or badly injured, you will pay my son £200 a year for 5 years. Sir Henry looked at Captain Good, who nodded his head.
We agree,
he said. We shook hands. Then I said, I should tell you that I do not think we shall succeed in this adventure. No one has ever crossed the Solomon Mountains and lived to tell his story.
Then why have you agreed to help us?
Sir Henry demanded. Because there is a small chance that we will succeed, I said. I am a poor man and no longer young. The few years of life that I have left will not be easy or comfortable, and I need money to pay for my son, Harry, to complete his medical studies. By agreeing to go with you, I will obtain it.
Your reasons for going are those of a good man,
Sir Henry said.
As soon as we land, we will find a lawyer. I shall get him to prepare a document for us to sign.
Thank you, I said. I shall arrange for my son to receive it if anything bad happens to me. We left the ship later that day. Sir Henry and Captain Good stayed overnight with me in my small house. The next morning, I bought a strong wagon and 24 oxen to pull it. The usual number is 20, but I added 4 in case of death or injury. The animals were all used to working in difficult places. The wagon had 2 parts. I loaded the front part with everything I thought we would need. The back part was for us to sleep in. Apart from food and spare clothing, I also bought rifles, revolvers, and ammunition. For Captain Good, who knew a little about medicine, I bought essential medicines and other items. We needed drivers and servants to come with us. I hired 2 Zulus, Goza and Tom, as drivers. I hired 2 other natives, Ventvogel and Kiva, to be our servants. Ventvogel was a well-known tracker. He was also well known for his love of drinking, but I thought I could keep him away from it. Kiva spoke very good English.
Chapter 4. The Journey Begins.
Late in the evening, before we planned to leave, another Zulu came to my house. I have seen you before, I said. What do you want?
People are saying that you are going to the far north,
he said.
I wish to come with you.
What is your name? I asked. What gives you the right to speak like this to me?
My name is Umbopa,
he said.
I am a Zulu, but my home is not here. I wish to go north. I will work as your servant. I do not want money. I am a brave man. You will not regret taking me with you.
Umbopa was a fine-looking man, and Sir Henry said,
You may be my servant, Mr. Umbopa.
Thank you,
Umbopa said. I will not describe in detail the 1,000-mile journey from Durban to Inyati. It was the kind of journey that anyone who travels in Africa experiences. I will only say that by the time we reached Inyati, we had only 16 oxen left. Snake bites, poisonous plants, and sickness killed the others. This was not important, however, as we continued from Inyati on foot. We employed 6 porters to carry our stores and left the wagon behind with Goza and Tom to take care of the oxen. At first we walked silently. Then Umbopa began to sing. His song was all about brave men who got lost in the wilderness and then discovered that it was not a wilderness. It was a place full of fat cattle and beautiful girls. Umbopa's song made us all feel cheerful. After about 2 weeks, we came to a place that was full of wild animals. Captain Good killed a giraffe, and we had a good meal of giraffe steaks that night. The next day, we went on an elephant hunt. Sadly, this day ended in tragedy. A huge bull elephant charged Captain Good, and he fell to the ground in front of it. Seeing this, Kiva ran in front of the elephant and threw his spear at the elephant's trunk. Maddened by the pain, the elephant took hold of Kiva in his trunk and threw him to the ground. Then he stamped on him with his huge feet. Kiva died. He gave his life to save his masters. We killed 9 elephants, and it took us 2 days to cut out their ivory tusks. These we buried, carefully marking the place so that we would find them on our way home. We buried Kiva, too, with his spear so that he would have it in another world. Then we walked on toward the Blue Solomon Mountains. As he got near to the mountains, Umbopa said to me in his own language,
Do you plan to cross the mountains?
Yes, I said. That is our plan.
The desert is wide and there is no water,
Umbopa said.
The mountains are high and covered with snow. Why do you want to cross them?
I turned to Sir Henry. Do you want Umbopa to know why we want to cross the mountains? I asked him.
Tell him we are looking for my brother,
Sir Henry said. He did not speak Umbopa's language. I did so, and Umbopa said in English,
I met a man on the road who told me about a white man with a black beard. He had the hunter Jim with him. What do you know about the land on the other side of the mountains?
Sir Henry asked him.
I know only a little. I believe it is a strange place. There is witchcraft there, and a long white road.
Umbopa said. Then he walked away, sat down under a tree, and began cleaning his gun. He knows more than he is telling, I said. I hope we can trust him. The next day we sent the porters away. We buried most of our equipment because we could take with us only as much as the 5 of us could carry. We waited until the cool of the evening before we set off.
Gentlemen,
Sir Henry said,
we are now beginning the most dangerous and strangest part of our journey. Let us ask God to keep us safe.
We stood silently for a minute or two, Sir Henry, Captain Good, Umbopa, Ventvogel, and I. Then we set off.
Chapter 5. The Cold Cave.
We had only Silvestri's map, and it did not show the desert where we were. We had only the mountains to guide us. We walked through the night until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Then we drank some of our water and rested for half an hour. Then we continued until the sun came up. It was soon too hot to walk, so we found a large rock and sheltered beneath it. We slept until late afternoon when the sun was low. Then we continued for a few hours and stopped again, waiting for the moon to rise. Then again we set off to walk through the night. We walked at night and rested during the day until we were exhausted. I calculated that we traveled about 50 miles. As we drank the last of our water and lay down to sleep, Umbopa said,
If we do not find water tomorrow, we shall die.
I studied Silvestri's map. We still had a long way to go. We'll sleep now, I said. In the morning, we will plan what to do. I awoke with a great thirst, as did the others, but we had no water. Then Umbopa pointed to marks in the sand.
A deer has been here,
he said.
See the marks of his feet. If there are deer near here, then there must be water.
He raised his head and sniffed the air.
Yes,
he said.
I can smell water. It cannot be far away.
But how far? I asked.
We must climb Sheba's breasts,
Umbopa said. The twin peaks of Suleiman's mountain were the shape of breasts. Everyone called them Sheba's breasts after the famous African queen, Sheba. It's a long walk, Captain Good said. I agreed. We shall die if we stay here. Our only chance is to find water. If that means climbing Sheba's breasts, then that is what we must do. We set off and walked all day. As we were climbing, it was not very hot, and we did not have to shelter from the sun. When we were halfway up the mountain, Umbopa ran ahead. To my surprise, he began dancing.
What's he doing?
Sir Henry asked. I think he has found water, I told him. I was right. There was a small lake halfway up the mountain. We drank and filled our water bottles. Then we swam in the cool water and washed our clothes. There were melons growing by the lake, and we ate them until we could eat no more. We have solved one problem, I said, but we still have another one. We cannot live on melons. They are mostly water. We need meat. We shall not die of thirst now, but unless we can get meat, we shall die of hunger. At that moment, a flock of large birds flew toward us. We quickly picked up our rifles. As the birds flew overhead, we fired. They were large, fat birds, and we made a fire and cooked them. That night, we had a great feast. Captain Good studied Silvestri's map. We are halfway up Sheba's breasts, he said. Silvestri wrote about a cave on the other side of the mountain. Now all we need to do is climb down the mountain and continue walking for 2 or 3 days.
We won't have a problem with the heat,
Sir Henry said.
Look at Ventvogel. He's shivering.
He's not used to cold mountain air, I said. We have nothing warm for him to wear. I hope he will be all right. I felt sorry for the poor man, but there was nothing I could do to help him. It will be warmer when we begin climbing down the mountain tomorrow, I said. We found a cave high up in the mountains that afternoon. We need shelter for the night, I said. We'll stay in this cave. It was dark in the cave, but we were sheltered from the wind. We ate the last of our food and then lay down to sleep. To my horror, when I awoke in the morning and tried to wake Ventvogel, he did not move. I soon saw that he was dead, killed by the cold. Then, as the sun came up and the cave filled with light, I saw at the far end the shape of a man, a dead white man. The others saw it too. We all ran out of the cave as fast as we could.
Chapter 6. The Dead Body.
We stopped running as soon as we were outside the cave. Sir Henry said,
I'm going back inside.
Why? I demanded.
Because that dead man may be my brother, George Neville. I must find out.
I'll go back in with you, I said. We walked back into the cave and went up to the dead man. He was a terrible sight. The body, which was naked, was frozen. It still had flesh on it, but was a little more than a skeleton. Sir Henry looked at the face.
It's not my brother,
he said.
I think it's the ancestor of your friend Jose Silvestri, the person who drew the map.
It can't be, I said. His ancestor died 300 years ago.
A dead body won't decay in this cold,
Sir Henry said.
The sun never gets in here. It's as cold as an icebox. And look at that ivory crucifix around his neck. During the time of your friend's ancestor, men often wore crucifix around their neck or carried one with them.
I knew this was true. But why is he naked? I asked.
Probably because his servant stole his clothes,
Sir Henry said. He bent down and picked up a piece of bone. It had a bend in it and was sharp and black at one end.
This is a kind of pen. It's what he drew the map with,
Sir Henry said. He looked carefully at the body.
Look at that wound on his arm,
he said, pointing at it.
That's where he took blood from. He used it as ink to draw the map. Let's leave him in peace,
Sir Henry continued.
But let's put poor Ventvogel next to him.
We carried the body of Ventvogel deeper into the cave and put him next to the body of old Jose Silvestri. Sir Henry took the crucifix from his neck. I took the bone pen. I use it sometimes to sign my name. We left the cave and continued down the mountain. We soon came to a herd of deer. We won't be hungry any more, Captain Good said. Don't be so sure. We have to catch one before we can kill it and eat it.
We don't have to catch one,
Sir Henry said.
We can shoot one from here.
We aimed our rifles at the deer.
We must all fire at the same time,
Sir Henry said.
Ready? Then, 1, 2, 3, fire!
We all fired at the same time. The deer raced away, but one of them fell.
We shall eat well today,
Sir Henry said.
If you like raw meat. We have nothing to make a fire with. There is nothing here that will burn.
I didn't usually eat raw meat, but we were so hungry that I happily ate it. I was careful, though, not to eat too much of it on an empty stomach. As we ate our meal, we looked around us. The countryside ahead of us was at least 5,000 feet higher than the desert, and the river seemed to flow from south to north. Sir Henry asked,
Isn't there something on the map about Solomon's Great Road?
Yes, I said. I think there is. Then that must be it, Captain Good said. He pointed toward the north. There seemed to be a wide road winding away.
You're right,
Sir Henry said.
We must get to it as soon as we can. Let's not waste time. Chapter 7. The Strange Men.
When we reached the road, we found that it had no beginning.
How do you explain this, Quatermain?
Sir Henry asked me. The only thing I can think of is that the first part of the road is covered with rocks. The mountain is probably an old volcano. When it erupted, it spread lava over the road. Sir Henry accepted my explanation. We continued along the road for several hours. At one place it entered a tunnel, and in the tunnel there were sculptures. They were of men driving chariots. Sir Henry studied the sculptures carefully.
These are Egyptian,
he said.
They were made long before the time of Solomon.
When we came out of the tunnel, we were in a forest. Now we can light a fire, Captain Good said. We have something to burn. It will be good to eat cooked meat tonight. We walked into the forest until we came to a stream. There we stopped to camp for the night. Captain Good went to the stream and washed his clothes. Then he tried to shave in cold water. I watched him, thinking he was wasting his time. Suddenly, a group of men appeared. They were all very tall. Some were old and some were young. Captain Good picked up his rifle, as did Umbopa and Sir Henry. "Put down your rifles," I shouted to them. I knew that our safety depended on making friends with the men, not enemies. I spoke to them in Zulu, but was surprised that they understood me. "Greetings," I said.
Greetings.
The eldest of the men answered. Then he said,
Who are you? Where have you come from? Why are 3 of you white and 1 black?
"We are strangers," I said, "and we come in peace."
You are lying.
The old man said,
No stranger has ever crossed the mountains.
If you are strangers, then you must die. No strangers may live in the land of the Kukuanas."
"What is the man saying?" Captain Good asked me. "He is telling me that we must die," I said. Whenever Captain Good was worried, he moved his false teeth in and out of his mouth. He did this now. It was lucky that he did. The men were suddenly afraid, and they moved back a little.
"Take your teeth out,"
Sir Henry told Captain Good. Captain Good did as Sir Henry told him.
"What kind of man is this?"
The eldest member of the group said.
He has hair only on one side of his face. Only half of him has clothes, and he has teeth that come out of his mouth."
One of the young men put a knife to Captain Good's throat. I said to Good, "Quickly show him your gums." He did this, and the young man fell to the ground, deeply afraid. "Now put your teeth back in and smile," I told Captain Good. He did this. The men could not believe their eyes. "We are spirits from another world," I said. "We come from the stars. We want to stay here for a while, but we must first kill the man with the knife."
"Do not kill him,"
the eldest of the men said.
"He is the king's son. I am his uncle. If he dies, then I shall have to die too."
"I will ask the magic tube to speak," I said. I turned to Umbopa. "Give me the rifle," I said in English. He handed me the rifle. I said to the uncle of the king's son, "This is a magic tube. It can kill things that are far away." I pointed to a deer many yards away. "Can you see that deer?" I said.
"Yes,"
he answered. "Then watch. I shall kill it without moving from here. I shall kill it with the noise from this magic tube," I said.
"That is not possible,"
the uncle of the king's son said. I fired the rifle. There was a loud bang, and the deer fell dead. All the men knelt down in front of us. They were very afraid. "Do you doubt our power?" I demanded.
"No, we have no magic as great as yours,"
the king's son's uncle said. Then he added,
"I am Infadus, son of Kafa, at one time king of the Kakuana people. This young man is Skraga, son of Twala, our great king."
"Then take us to him," I said. "We talk only to kings."
Chapter 8. The Kakuana People.
We walked all afternoon with Infadus and Skraga. Their men walked about 100 meters ahead of us. "Who made this road?" I asked Infadus.
"No one knows,"
he said.
"None of us is old enough to remember who made it or when it was built. But our great king will not allow grass to grow on it."
"What about the sculptures?" I said. "Who made them?"
"We think that they were made by the same people that made the road,"
Infadus said. "When did your people, the Kukuana, come to this place?"
"They came from the north many thousands of moons ago,"
Infadus explained.
"When they reached the mountains, they could go no farther. They stayed here where the land is good and there is water."
"Do you live here in peace?" I asked.
"There have been 2 wars. Once an army came down from the north, but we killed most of them. Soon after that we fought among ourselves."
"Why was that?" I asked.
"The king at that time had 2 sons, twins. When he died, both young men wanted to be king. One of the twins, Twala, killed the other and became king."
"Did the dead man have a wife and children?" I asked. I knew that if he did, the fighting could start again one day.
"Yes, he had a wife, Imotu, and a son, Ignosi. They ran away."
"Is he still alive?" I asked. "Could Ignosi be the true king of the Kukuana people?"
"Yes,"
Infadus said. He pointed to a village a short way ahead.
"That is the village where Imotu and Ignosi first hid,"
he said.
"We shall stay there tonight. We need to rest, although because of all your magic, you probably never rest."
"When we are with you," I said, "we shall do as you do." I turned to smile at Captain Good, who was walking behind us with Umbopa. I was surprised to see a strange expression on Umbopa's face. I wondered what he was thinking. As soon as we were within a mile or so of the village, an army of men came out. They were all about 40 years of age and at least 6 feet tall. They carried spears, knives, and shields made of leather. There were oxen tails around their waists and beneath their right knees. As we passed them, they saluted and shouted a welcome. Their women were in the village. They were tall, graceful, and very beautiful. They stopped whatever they were doing to watch us pass by, but they were not rude. As soon as we were comfortable in a hut, they came with milk, honey, and cooked food. A young man brought a fat young ox, which he killed and cut into pieces. We took a few pieces for ourselves and gave him the rest. We didn't want them to think we were selfish. Umbopa began to cook the meat, and we sent a message to Infadus and Scragga, asking them to join us. This they did. Infadus was friendly and polite. Scragga said nothing, which worried me, because I thought he was suspicious of us.
Chapter 9. The King.
After the meal, I told Infadus that we wanted to leave the next day.
I have already sent messengers to King Twala at Lu,
Infadus said.
He will expect you.
He and Scragga then left us. Sir Henry, Captain Good, and I laid down to sleep. Umbopa kept watch. I trusted Infadus, but was not sure of Scragga. It was a 2 days' walk to Lu, and the journey was easy and pleasant. We passed through rich countryside until we reached the king's village. In the distance, we could see the peaks of 3 mountains.
They are the 3 witches,
Infadus said.
They are where the road ends.
Do you know why?
No,
Infadus said.
They are full of caves, and there is a great pit between them. It is there that wise men who visited us in the past used to go.
Why?
I do not know. They did not tell us. We now bury our kings there. We call it the place of death. Talk to Gagul after you have seen the king. Gagul knows many things that I do not.
As soon as I was alone with my friends, I said, "Behind those mountains are Solomon's diamond mines. I'm sure of it."
Yes,
Umbopa said.
You are right. You will find diamonds there.
How do you know that? I demanded. Umbopa laughed.
Ha 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 ha! I had a dream about it during the night,
he said, and walked away. Sir Henry said,
That man knows more than he is telling us. Do you know if he has heard anything about my brother?
He tells me that he hasn't, I said. He has asked everyone he could, but they all say that no white man has ever been seen in this country before we came. They think we are gods because of our magic. Perhaps he never got to this place, Captain Good said. It was only luck that we found it.
I know,
Sir Henry said.
I am beginning to think that I shall never find him.
At this moment, Infadus came up and said,
I will take you to where you will sleep tonight.
He led the way to a fine hut where women brought us food and drink. We slept well that night, and the next morning, after breakfast, Infadus came to the hut. He told us that the king was ready to see us. We asked Infadus to give us a little time to prepare ourselves. He agreed and left us alone. We need to give the king and his queen presents, I said. They will expect it. I suggest we give the king Ventfogel's rifle and some ammunition. I have some beads we can give the queen. The others agreed. Shortly after that, Infadus took us to King Twala's enclosure. It was surrounded by thousands of his warriors. There were chairs for us outside his hut, and we sat down and waited for him to come out. We waited for some time, and then a huge man wearing a tiger skin came out of the hut. Scragga and what looked like a very old monkey were with him. Twala was the ugliest man I have ever seen. He had thick lips and a flat nose. He wore feathers on his head and carried a huge spear. He wore a heavy gold necklace in which there was a large diamond. For a long time there was silence, and then King Twala lifted his spear. Immediately, all the warriors raised their spears and shouted, "Koom!" They repeated this 3 times. Then a voice came from the monkey. It said,
"It is the king."
The warriors shouted, "It is the king." Then there was silence until one of the warriors accidentally dropped his sword. King Twala looked at him.
Come here,
He said. The young warrior walked forward.
You have made your king look foolish.
King Twala said. It was an accident, my king. The young warrior said.
The punishment is death.
King Twala said. He turned to Scragga.
Kill him,
he said. Scragga threw his spear at the young warrior. It struck him in the heart, and he fell down dead. Sir Henry moved forward, but I put out my hand. I knew that now was not the time for us to interfere. The thin voice from the monkey-like figure said,
"Cover up the blood. Take the body away."
A girl came forward and covered up the blood. Again Sir Henry opened his mouth to speak, but I said, Keep quiet. Our lives depend on it. King Twala then looked at us. I knew that he was wondering whether to have us killed immediately or after finding out something about us.
Chapter 10. King Twala.
Where are you from, white people? What do you want?
King Twala demanded. I believed that as long as he thought we were gods, we were safe. We have come from the stars, I said. To my surprise, he just laughed.
Ha 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 ha! The stars are a long way away,
he said.
You are here. I am king. I can order you to be killed.
If you do that, then you and all your people will die, I said. Haven't Infadus and Scragga told you what we can do?
They have told me that you can kill from a distance. I do not believe them,
King Twala said.
Prove that you can.
He pointed to one of the warriors.
Kill that man without touching him.
We will kill your son Scragga instead, I said. Scragga cried out and ran into one of the huts. King Twala said,
Kill an ox first.
He turned to 2 of his men.
Bring an ox,
he ordered. They ran off to obey him. I said to Sir Henry, I want you to shoot the ox. Scragga and Infadus know that I can shoot. I want everyone to know that you can too.
I hope I don't miss,
Sir Henry said. If you do, I said, it will probably be the last time you ever shoot a rifle. Within a few moments, the 2 men led an ox before the king's hut. Sir Henry moved away and raised his rifle. He fired. The ox fell down dead. Have I lied to you, King Twala? I asked. Can we kill at a distance?
You have spoken the truth,
the king said. I took Ventvogel's rifle from Umbopa and handed it to the king. I give you this present, I said. It is a magic stick. You can kill a man just by pointing it at him. He can be many steps away from you. Take care of it. One day I will teach you how to use it. As King Twala studied the rifle, turning it this way and that, the monkey-like creature came forward. For the first time, I saw that it was not a monkey. It was a tiny, very, very old woman. She stood in front of the king and screamed at him.
I prophesy! I prophesy! There will be blood. There will be rivers of blood. The white man who came before will come again. He will kill and kill.
She pointed at the diamond in the king's necklace.
The white man has much magic. He will use it to get the bright stones. I am the old one. I know. I prophesy.
Then she turned away from the king and looked at us.
You are looking for the lost one,
she said.
but you will not find him here. He has not been here. Only one white man has been here for many years, and he left here to die.
She turned to Umbopa.
What is that you want? It is not the bright stones. Why are you with these men from the stars? I can smell blood on you. There is...
She did not finish. Instead, she fell to the ground in a fit. Immediately the king stood up and sent all his men away.
Gagul has spoken strange words,
he said.
What have you to say?
Only this, I said. Do not kill us. If you do, you will be as the ox. The king thought for a while. Then he said,
Go in peace. Tomorrow we will talk.
He turned and went back into his hut.
Chapter 11. The King is Found.
We went back to our hut. I said to Infadus, King Twala is a cruel king. Why don't the people rise up and overthrow him?
They think that his son Scragga will be worse.
Infadus explained.
If Imotu or Ignosi, her son, were still alive, perhaps the people would rise up. How do you know Ignosi is dead?
Umbopa asked.
Everyone knows.
Infadus said.
No.
Umbopa argued.
I will tell you a story. King Twala killed his brother, but his wife escaped. She took her son Ignosi with her. I know that.
Infadus said.
The woman and her child died in the mountains. No, they did not die. They traveled for many days until they came to the land where the white people live. There Ignosi worked as a servant and soldier, learning the white people's ways. Then he met these white people.
Umbopa pointed to Sir Henry, Captain Good, and me.
He crossed the mountains with them. He met you, Infadus. What nonsense are you talking about?
Infadus shouted.
It is not nonsense.
Umbopa lifted up his shorts.
See this tattoo, uncle. I am Ignosi, the rightful king of the Kukuanas.
We all stared at the tattoo. It was a large snake that circled his body. Infadus fell to his knees.
Kum! Kum!
He cried.
It is my brother's son. It is the king. I am your servant until death.
Umbopa turned to me.
What will you do?
He demanded.
Will you help me overthrow King Twala and become the rightful king of the Kukuanas? Will you help me if I give you more bright stones than you can carry?
Sir Henry said,
I will help you do what is right. I am not interested in diamonds, but will you help me find my brother?
If he is alive, we will find him.
Ignosi said. He turned to Captain Good. I too will help you, Captain Good said. But not for the diamonds. I will help you because you are the rightful king. Finally, Umbopa turned to me.
And you, Mr. Quatermain?
He asked. I smiled. I will help you, I said, but I shall be pleased to have as many diamonds as I can carry. Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of some messengers from the king. They had presents for us. They were very well-made pieces of armor. When did your people learn how to make this kind of armor? I asked Infadus.
We did not make them,
he said.
At some time in the past, some people came here and gave them to us. We have never seen these people. It all happened a long time ago. There are very few pieces left. Only our kings and princes may wear them. Whoever wears them cannot be killed in battle. Why has King Twala given them to us?
Sir Henry asked.
I don't know,
Infadus said.
Perhaps he is very pleased with your present and wants to know how to use it. Perhaps he is afraid of you.
The workmanship is very good, I said.
Wear them to the dance tonight.
Infadus said.
You may need them.
We tried on the armor and then rested until the king sent for us. When we came out of our hut, we found that the village was surrounded by thousands of warriors. They were all standing silently, their spears and shields shining in the moonlight. King Twala's whole army seems to be here, I said to Infadus.
No, only a third of it. Another third is out of sight, ready to come if there is trouble when the killing of the witches and wizards begins. The other third is divided among all the villages.
Will many be killed?
Sir Henry asked.
Very many.
Infadus said. Are we in danger? Captain Good asked.
I don't know.
Infadus replied.
I can only tell you that if you live through the night, all will be well.
King Twala now came out of his hut. He had his son Scragga and the old woman Gagul with him.
Now all evil men and women will die.
King Twala said.
Watch carefully, white men, and enjoy the sport.
Begin! Begin!
Screamed Gagul at the top of her thin voice.
What happens to us all?
10,000 voices shouted, Death! And then they began a terrible song. Gagul began to dance. She danced in front of people, screaming and shouting. Suddenly she stopped and pointed at someone.
Here is evil!
She screamed.
Kill! Kill!
Men ran forward and speared the man she pointed to. She moved on and danced in front of a woman.
This woman has bad thoughts of the king. Kill! Kill!
She screamed. Again, men ran forward and speared the woman she pointed to. She continued her dance of death until the ground was red with blood. Then she danced toward us and stopped in front of Umbopa.
This man is full of evil.
She screamed.
Kill! Kill!
Quickly I stood up. This man is my servant, King Twala, I said. I am his protector. Whoever injures him injures me.
Gagul has smelled evil in him,
King Twala said.
She is never wrong. He must die.
Whoever touches him dies too, I said. The killers moved towards Umbopa, their spears raised. He raised his spear to fight for his life. I took out my revolver and pointed it at King Twala. Sir Henry and Captain Good raised their rifles. What is it to be, King Twala? I asked. His death and yours, or his life and yours? For a moment, King Twala was silent. Then he waved away the killers.
Put away your magic tubes,
he said.
Go in peace.
Chapter 12. The Chiefs.
We went back to our huts. Captain Good said, At first, Ignosi, I was not sure I wanted to help you. After what I have seen tonight, I have no doubts. Where is Infadus? I asked. Is he safe?
He will be here soon,
Ignosi said.
We must wait.
Fortunately, we did not have to wait long because Infadus soon arrived. He brought with him 6 men, all chiefs.
These chiefs,
he said,
all have at least 3,000 warriors who will obey them. They ask now only for proof that Umbopa is truly Ignosi.
Once again, Ignosi took off all his clothes so that we could see the snake tattooed on his thigh. Each of the chiefs studied it. Then the eldest of them turned to the others and said,
Will you follow this man? We have seen tonight the evil that Twala can do. One of the men he killed was my own brother.
One of the other chiefs said, It is true that we need to serve a better king, but how do we know that this man is truly Ignosi? That snake could have been placed there. I need another sign.
Yes,
the other chief said.
We need another sign before we rise against King Twala. There will be much blood. We must not rise unless we are sure.
Captain Good whispered in my ear, I think I can show them a sign. Tomorrow is the 4th of June. I was reading in my calendar only yesterday that there will be an eclipse of the sun tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. I'm not sure what time that will be here, but tell them that Ignosi will darken the sun sometime tomorrow.
Will we see the eclipse here in Africa?
Sir Henry asked. I don't know exactly where we are, Captain Good said, but my calculations tell me that the eclipse should be seen here at about 1 o'clock tomorrow. There should be total darkness for about half an hour. It's a good idea, I said. I just hope you are right. If you are not, we shall be in great danger. I turned to the chiefs. We will prove to you that this man is Ignosi, and that he was born to rule over you. I told the chiefs to follow me. I led the way outside the hut. I pointed to the sun in the sky. Tomorrow at midday, I said, I shall turn day into night. Will that prove to you that we are speaking the truth about Umbopa?
No ordinary men can turn day into night,
the eldest chief said.
If you can do that, then we shall accept that Umbopa is Ignosi, and we shall rise against King Twala and make Ignosi our king.
Then leave us now, I said. We must prepare our magic. After the chiefs left, Ignosi asked,
Can you really turn day into night?
Tomorrow you will see what we can do, I said. But tell me one thing. If we make you king, will you promise not to have witch hunts? Will you stop all the killing?
I promise to do my best,
he said.
I can promise no more than that.
It is enough, I said. Now let us all rest. Tomorrow will be a very important day.
Chapter 13. The Young Girls.
The next day we got up early and had a good breakfast, since we did not know when we would eat again. We left our hut and walked to the large open space in front of King Twala's hut. Now, instead of thousands of warriors, there were thousands of young women, all with flowers in their hair. King Twala sat in the center with old Gagul, Infadus, and Scragga. There were also about a dozen guards and the chiefs we had met earlier. As we walked toward him, King Twala said to Umbopa,
You are lucky to be alive. Gagul wanted you dead. It is only because you come from the stars that I let you live. I can kill before you can kill, O king.
Umbopa answered before I could say anything. King Twala turned to him angrily.
How dare you speak to your king in this way?
Then he shouted at the young women.
Let the dance begin.
At first the young women all danced together. Then one by one a number of them came forward and danced in front of the king until they could dance no more. They fell to the ground. At last King Twala said to me,
Which of the dancers is the most beautiful?
Without thinking, I said, The first.
I agree,
King Twala said.
She must die.
Die! Die! Die!
Gagul screamed. I do not understand, I said. The girl has danced well. She should be rewarded, not punished with death.
It is our custom. The prophecy says that if the king does not kill the most beautiful girl in his tribe, he will die. My brother, who was king before me, did not offer a girl as sacrifice. He died, and I became king.
He turned to his son.
Scragga, kill the girl.
The girl tried to run away, but the guards held on to her. Gagul screamed.
What is your name, girl? Tell the king's son before he kills you with his spear.
Scragga moved toward the girl, his spear raised. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Captain Good move a hand toward his revolver. Scragga laughed happily. He was looking forward to killing the girl.
Why must I die?
She cried.
What have I done wrong?
Suddenly she tore herself away from the guards and threw herself at Captain Good's feet.
"Oh, White Father from the stars,"
she cried.
"save me, I beg you."
Captain Good lifted the girl to her feet. Scragga moved toward her.
Now is the time.
Sir Henry said to me,
You must say something. Give the sign.
The eclipse is due any minute, I said to him.
If we do not do something now, the girl will be killed.
He said.
We can't wait for the eclipse.
I moved toward King Twala. King, I said, you must not kill this girl. I order you not to.
You order King Twala?
He shouted.
Guards, seize him!
The guards ran up and took hold of me. Order your men to let me go, I shouted. If you do not, I shall put out the sun.
You lie! You lie!
Gagool screamed.
No man can put out the sun. Kill him and the girl! Kill! Kill! Blood! Blood!
I pulled one arm away from the guard who was holding me and lifted it up. By my watch, the eclipse was due in half a minute. "Oh, sun," I shouted, "show this king that I am greater than he. Hide yourself from his eyes and from the eyes of his people."
Chapter 14. The Eclipse.
As I spoke, a shadow began to move slowly across the sun. "Show this king that the white men from the stars always speak the truth," I shouted. As the shadow of the moon moved across the sun, the day became darker. All the women and the men began to shake with fear. Even King Twala turned white. Only Gagool showed no fear.
I have seen this before,
she screamed.
Do not be afraid. The sun will soon shine again.
No, no!
The boy Scragga shouted.
The sun is dying. Soon it will be dark, and we shall all die.
Now there was panic. The girls, the guards, and all the servants ran away. Even the king and Gagool ran into their huts. Soon only we, the girl, Infadus, and the chiefs were left. "We have given you the sign you asked for. Now take us away from here," I said.
Yes, come,
Infadus said, and led the way. As we left the village, the sun went out completely. We walked for an hour and came to another village. Food was prepared for us, and while we ate, the chiefs sent out messengers. By the time the sun was shining again, there were nearly 20,000 warriors waiting for orders. Infadus spoke to them about King Twala's cruelty. He explained that King Twala was not the true king because Ignosi was alive. He told them that we, white men from the stars, wanted to help Ignosi become king again and that we had much magic. Ignosi then spoke to the warriors. He repeated much of Infadus's speech, then said,
If there is any man who does not want me to be king, let him now speak.
There was silence. Ignosi continued.
Then I am your king, and we must defeat King Twala. Prepare for war.
He then went with the chiefs into one of the huts and asked us to join him.
It will not be an easy battle,
he said.
There are only about 20,000 warriors who will fight for me. King Twala has about 40,000. Some of them will leave him and join you,
Infadus said.
Perhaps, but we don't know how many.
Ignosi said. When will you attack? I asked.
Not until tomorrow. We need all night to prepare. We must also strengthen the walls of this village. King Twala will attack us as soon as he can.
We rested for a few hours, but were woken up just before dawn. Infadus came into our hut and said,
There is a messenger from King Twala. We should hear what he has to say.
We went out to see the messenger.
These are the king's words,
he said.
He will be merciful. You will not die. You will all just be tortured. I have heard that a man pretends to be Ignosi. He and the white men will be tortured.
Go back to King Twala, I said. Tell him we do not fear him. He will be dead before the sun has risen twice. The messenger left. I looked around. There were men lying asleep or talking quietly everywhere.
How many of these men do you think will still be alive in 2 days' time?
Sir Henry asked. I don't know, I said. I have said brave words to the messenger, but I am deeply afraid for our lives.
I am also,
he said.
But there is nothing we can do now but fight and hope for the best. Now, let us try to rest for a couple of hours. Chapter 15. A Battle.
I tried to sleep but could not. After a quick breakfast, Ignosi's army began moving toward King Twala's village. We could also see King Twala's army moving toward us. They looked like thousands of ants, but I knew they were not ants. They were King Twala's warriors, and soon the two armies would meet. Infadus, who was standing beside me, said,
It does not look good. Not only are there more of them than there are of us, but they are going to attack us on 3 sides at the same time.
Slowly, King Twala's army moved toward us. Captain Good said, If we had a machine gun, we could stop them. They might even turn and run away. We don't have one, I said, so there's no point in thinking about it.
Try a shot with your rifle, Quatermain,
Sir Henry said.
You probably won't hit anyone, but there is nothing to lose by trying.
I loaded my rifle, took aim at a man who seemed to be a leader, and fired. To my annoyance, the man standing next to him fell to the ground. Hard luck, Captain Good said. You didn't get the man you aimed at, but you didn't waste your shot. I reloaded and took aim again. I fired, and this time the man I aimed at fell. Our own warriors were very impressed by this magic. Let's all fire, I said. The more magic we can show, the better. Sir Henry and Captain Good loaded their rifles, and we began firing at the warriors who were moving toward us. We stopped them, but there were more warriors on both sides of us. We were surrounded. The battle continued for several hours. At one point, our men were winning. At another, King Twala's army was beating our men back. To and fro the battle went. But we were on higher ground, and King Twala's men had to climb to reach us. They began to tire before our men. Then suddenly, I was in the middle of a group of screaming, shouting warriors. I fought as best I could, but a huge warrior struck at me. I remembered no more until much later. Then, as I became conscious again, I heard Sir Henry say,
How are you, Quatermain? Can you hear me?
I opened my eyes. Captain Good was bending over me with some water. Here, drink, he said.
I thought you were dead,
Sir Henry said.
I saw some men carrying you away from the fighting.
I sat up slowly. Is it over? I asked.
It is over,
Sir Henry said.
But there are thousands of dead and wounded on both sides.
What will happen now? I asked.
Ignosi says that King Twala won't attack again until we are much weaker. We are surrounded still on 3 sides. We have no food or water. King Twala's men have all the food and water they need.
So he'll wait for us to die of thirst and hunger, I said. Ignosi thinks that is his plan, Captain Good said. At this moment, Ignosi appeared.
What should I do?
He asked me.
You are wiser and older than me.
I was silent for a long time. I knew that whatever I advised, Ignosi would do it. I had to be sure that I said the right thing. At last I said, If we do nothing, we shall die without a fight. King Twala can wait as long as he likes. I believe there is only one thing we can do. We must attack him now.
Our men are tired,
Sir Henry said. I know, but so are King Twala's. At the moment we are almost equal. If we wait, our men will be weakened more, because we have little food. Then King Twala's men will be stronger than ours." Ignosi said,
You speak the truth. We shall attack during the night. King Twala will not expect this. I will divide my warriors into 3. We will use the same plan King Twala used. 1/3 will attack his front, 1/3 his right, and 1/3 his left. We will surprise him. I will go and give orders to my chiefs."
Ignosi walked away. I said, "The 3 of us have the only rifles. Each of us should go with 1/3 of Ignosi's warriors." Captain Good and Sir Henry agreed. Sir Henry took my hand.
"Goodbye, Quatermain,"
he said,
"and good luck. We may never meet again. If you do live to see tomorrow, I hope you find the diamonds." Chapter 16. The Final Battle.
I shook hands with Sir Henry and with Captain Good. Then we went to our places with Ignosi's warriors. Shortly after, we began the attack. I am not a good enough writer to describe in detail the battle that followed. I will say only that many thousands more men on both sides died and were badly wounded. I saw one of these lying beside Captain Good, who was sitting on a rock. Before I reached Captain Good, the warrior lying beside him jumped up. He picked up a spear and began spearing Captain Good. I ran forward shouting, and the warrior, afraid of my magic, ran off. Captain Good lay on the ground. He did not move. I was sure he was dead. As I bent over him, he opened his eyes and said quietly, "I think my armor saved me." I looked at him, and he was wearing the chain-mail armor. "I am bruised, but not cut," he said, "but I do have a wound in my leg that I got in the battle." "We won," I said. "We are now going to King Twala's village. I will get some men to carry you." Soon we were walking toward King Twala's village, where he awaited us, afraid, I was sure, that we would kill him. Ignosi led the way to King Twala's hut. He was sitting alone outside.
"Hail of King!"
he said to Ignosi.
"You have beaten me using the white man's magic. Now you will kill me." "Yes, I will kill you the way you killed my father."
Ignosi said.
"I am of royal blood,"
King Twala said.
"It is my right to die fighting. Who will fight me to death?" "It is not for me, a king, to fight, except in battle,"
Ignosi said.
"Then one of the white cowards must fight me."
King Twala said. He pointed at Sir Henry.
"That coward there who hides behind his magic tube."
Sir Henry walked toward him.
"No man calls me a coward,"
he said.
"I will fight you."
"Don't be a fool," I said. "Anyone who saw you fighting today knows you are not a coward."
"You must not do this,"
Ignosi said.
"You have already fought long and hard to help me."
"I will fight him,"
Sir Henry said.
"I am not afraid."
Both Sir Henry and King Twala had battle axes, and it was these weapons they first fought with. Then, when King Twala knocked Sir Henry's axe out of his hand, Sir Henry threw himself at King Twala and knocked him down. The 2 men fought on the ground. Sir Henry tried to take a knife out of his belt, and King Twala tried to lift his axe so that he could strike Sir Henry. He succeeded and struck Sir Henry on the chest. Fortunately, his armor stopped the blade of the axe from cutting too deep. Sir Henry then struck at King Twala with his knife. There was a great shout from the warriors as King Twala's head fell to the ground, cut off at the neck. Sir Henry then lost consciousness from his own wounds. Almost immediately, warriors ran forward and lifted him up. As they did so, his eyes opened, and I saw that he was not dead. I walked toward King Twala's head. The necklace with the diamond was still around his neck. I pulled out the diamond and handed it to Ignosi. "Take it," I said. "You are the rightful king of the Kukuanas."
Chapter 17. The Search for Diamonds.
Sir Henry and Captain Good were exhausted and weak from loss of blood. I, too, was more tired than I could remember ever being. We rested, therefore, for many days before we even thought about the future. Then, when we were strong enough to travel again, I said to Ignosi, "You promised me diamonds if I helped you to become king."
I did.
He said,
I will keep my promise, but only Gagool knows where to find them, and I must kill her and the other witches.
"There has been enough killing," I said. "Tell the old woman that if she will lead us to the diamonds, you will spare her life." Ignosi thought about this for a long time, and then he said,
I will speak to the woman and tell you what she says.
Ignosi was as good as his word, and he persuaded Gagool to guide us to the diamonds. 3 days later, Sir Henry, Captain Good, Fulata, the girl who owed her life to Captain Good, and Infadus were climbing the mountains called the Three Witches. Some warriors carried Gagool. She screamed and cursed continuously, but she knew where the diamonds were. And at last we came to a deep hole in the ground. It had sloping sides and was not a natural hole. It was the work of miners. Huge statues guarded the mine. I remembered that King Solomon worshipped some strange gods. Could these be statues of those gods? I asked Sir Henry, who knew much about ancient history.
It is possible,
He said.
The Phoenicians were great merchants and builders. They built King Solomon's temple. Perhaps they dug this mine for him.
We want to go into the mine, I told Gagool.
It is the place of death,
She said.
but if you want to enter, then I will lead the way.
The statues guarded a tunnel that led into the heart of the mine. Gagool led the way, and we followed. At first the tunnel was dark, then we saw a light at the end. When we reached the end of the passage, it opened into the most amazing place. It was a huge cave, as big as a cathedral. There were carvings everywhere, and giant stalactites. Gagool continued walking through the cave until she came to another tunnel. She stopped walking and turned.
This will take you into the place of death,
She said.
Are you sure you want to continue?
Chapter 18. The Place of Death.
We said that we wanted to continue, and soon we were moving through another tunnel. This one was narrower than the last. To our horror, it opened into another cave in which there were white human skeletons. Who were they? I asked Gagool.
They are past kings of the Kukuanas. King Twala will also be placed here. Here, too, is where you will find the diamonds.
She pointed to the wall of the cave. It is just a wall, I said. There is no door. The old witch laughed.
Watch!
She said. We looked at the wall, and as we did so, a part of it rose upward. We walked forward and were at the entrance to another cave, this one much smaller than the others.
Except for one white man, only kings have entered this place.
She said.
They have entered it to die.
The white man's name was Jose Silvestri, wasn't it?
Yes, he came with a Kukuana woman who discovered, by chance, how to open the wall. He filled a bag with the bright stones, and then saw something that made him drop the bag and run. If you will risk death, then go and take the stones.
Sir Henry said.
I'm not afraid of this superstitious nonsense.
Neither am I, said Captain Good. Then let us go forward, I said. We have come so far. I will not turn back now when we are so near our goal. Where are the diamonds?
Deep in this cave, you will find boxes full of them,
Gagool said. We hurried forward and as the old woman said, we soon found the boxes. We opened them. They were full of diamonds. "We are now the richest men in the world," I said, holding up a handful of the stones. At that moment, Fulata screamed.
The wall! The wall!
We turned. The old woman was running through the opening in the wall. It was closing behind her. Fulata was running after her. She threw herself at the old woman and brought her to the ground, but just under the wall. Lower and lower it came until it crushed the old woman into the ground. Fulata was not crushed, but had been stabbed by the old woman. She lay in Captain Good's arms. "Fulata is dead," he said, and cried softly.
We shall all die in here,
Sir Henry said. "We still have a chance," I said. "Infadus knows where we are. He will be worried when we do not return, and then will come looking for us." "Does he know the secret of the wall?" Captain Good said. "Will he be able to raise it so that we can get out of this place?" I knew this was a problem, but I said nothing. Instead, I suggested that we eat the little food that we had and rest for a while. This we did, and while I was lying half asleep, I felt a gentle wind on my face. I sat up. "Can you feel a gentle wind?" I asked the others. They all said that they could. "If air is coming into this cave," I said, "it must be coming in from somewhere. If we can find that hole, we might be able to escape through it." In the light of the few matches we had left, we searched the cave. It was Sir Henry who found out where the air was coming in.
"Look here,"
he said.
"There is a ring on the wall. Perhaps if we pull it, some kind of door will open."
He used his huge strength to pull on the ring, and a small door opened in the wall. We climbed through. We were in a long, narrow tunnel. We moved slowly along the tunnel and came to an underground river. "This river goes somewhere outside the mountain," Good said. "If we stay in it, we shall find our way out." We walked and swam through the river for several hours, and at last came out from within the mountain.
"We're safe,"
Sir Henry said.
"but what a waste of time it has been."
"Not quite," I said. "I filled my pockets with diamonds while you were asleep. There are enough to make us all rich." We made our way back to Ignosi's village and said goodbye to him. Then we began the long journey home. Only one more thing needs to be said. When we left the mountains, we came to a small hut. A man came out of the hut. He was a white man with a black beard. Sir Henry cried out,
"George, is it really you?"
It was indeed George Neville. He ran forward, and the two brothers shook hands. Then a black man came out of the hut. It was Jim, Neville's servant. On the way home, George Neville told us about his extraordinary adventure, but it was not any stranger than ours.
Playlet, the Dance of Death. What do you think will happen now, Quatermain?
I'm not sure. King Twala is angry with us. He wants to kill us. If that is so, we can't stop him. He has thousands of warriors. That is true, but we have our rifles, magic tubes. He is afraid of them, and so are the warriors.
We have only enough ammunition to kill a few of them. We can't fight them off forever.
We shall die fighting, though. Good morning, Infadus. What do you think King Twala will do?
I don't know. He doesn't know yet. He will wait until after the Dance of Death. Then he will decide. Or he will ask that witch, Gogul, to decide.
Why is she so powerful?
She has magic powers. King Twala believes she can see into the future.
Anyone can see into the future. I can tell you what will happen to us. King Twala will kill us all.
He may not. He pretends that he is not afraid of you. But he is, and so are most of his warriors.
What about his son, Scrogga?
He is very afraid.
An important time is coming.
We know that, but what will happen?
You will be surprised. Come with me. The dance of death will begin soon. King Twala wants you to watch it. What do you think of this girl?
She is very beautiful.
Yes. Do you think she is the most beautiful girl here?
Be careful what you say. King Twala might kill her because you say she is the most beautiful. He might also kill her if you say she is not the most beautiful. I can't win. I'm afraid you can't.
I am waiting for your reply, white man from the stars.
She is as beautiful as you, King. Believe her to me.
Ha! A clever answer, but not clever enough. Scragga, kill the girl!
See this magic tube, King? Kill the girl, and it will kill you.
I have had enough of this talk. Be careful, white men from the stars. I have magic of my own. The time has come.
It is you, Ignacy. It is the king.
Yes, Infanus, it is I, Ignacy, your rightful king.
I believed you were dead. We all did.
After the death of my father, I escaped with my mother. My father's twin brother, Twala, became king. He is not the rightful king. My mother soon died, and I went to live in the land of the white man. Now I have come back. I shall be king of the Kukuanas.
I will tell the chiefs.
I thought there was something suspicious about you, but I did not think you were a king. Will the chiefs believe that you are Ignacy?
I have the tattoo to prove who I am. That may not be enough. Anyone can have a tattoo. Most sailors have one. I have one, see?
Captain Good is right. The chiefs may need more proof.
I have no more proof.
Then we could have a problem. They may ask for a sign from the gods or something like that. And Gagu will say you are not the rightful king. The chiefs and warriors will believe her. I have remembered something.
Yes?
Tomorrow is the 10th of July, I think.
I have counted the days since we left Durban. And yes, I think tomorrow is the 10th.
There will be an eclipse of the sun.
At what time?
At 3 in the afternoon, London time.
Let me think. That will be 11 in the morning here.
Excellent. The sun will be bright and high in the sky. I shall tell King Twala that Ignacy is alive and the rightful king. I will tell him that to prove it, I shall put out the sun. It's a good idea, but will it work? If it doesn't, he'll kill us all. He'll know that I do not really have magic powers.